Hello and welcome to the 30k channel. I'm your host David Brains, and in today's game we have a traitor matchup. Emperor's Children versus World Eaters. And please let me introduce Sam, second time.
Yeah, second time. Yes. Couldn't keep me away.
It's good. It's been 2 years, but we've got him back.
It's been a while.
He's been busy.
Gives me time to paint an entire army, so much needed.
And we have Chris the Wild Man.
Right.
G'day.
What a one.
Now, Chris and I met at Company Legends a few months ago.
Yep, in September. Great event run by the Age of Empire guys. So we had a bit of a chat and decided that the World Eaters have got to come on. Yep. Struggle for World Eaters and Emperor's Children, to be fair.
Yeah. There's not as many Emperor's Children videos as I'd like to see, so I'm going to try and get that balance right.
Good. And if we can tempt him back for another game, we might see him again very soon. So fingers crossed. I better feed him and water him and make sure he's happy. Gents, the first thing people will say is it's a traitor matchup.
Definitely. Well, I mean, that's the best matchup in my opinion. Traitor matchup. You know, we've got all the infighting, all the skullduggery. I think it's perfect, really, for 30k.
There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of infighting in the traitor legions. They're all jostling for position, all to please daddy. But give me a little bit of story behind this one.
So the backstory we've gone for this mission is obviously on the warpath to Terra. We've got the Emperor's Children have decided to rendezvous with the World Eaters under the pretense of ritual combat, to which Space Marines are accustomed. That's just the pretense. Obviously, being Emperor's Children, wanting to be the perfect exemplary legion that they are, they clearly demonstrably are. They're trying to cripple the World Eaters so that they'll look perfect when the assault on Terra actually begins.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with that.
Let's see what happens.
He's a man of few words. I like it. But Chris, if we look at the battlefield, we've kind of dressed it up as like there's been an initial assault from the World Eaters. Yep. It's halted, and Angon's gone. Do you know what? I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, hold my standard. Yeah, he's going to run ahead of everybody else and make more of a mess than what's already on there. It's going to be good. Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting. My initial concern for this game was you've got Angon and a knight. And I guess if they get into combat with each other, it's whoever swings and rolls a couple of dice more than the other, right?
Going to be a bloody old affair, I think, yeah.
But if that World Eater Primarch gets to the lines of the Emperor's Children, he's going to chop them up, right?
Yeah, well, historically, that's always the nuisance problem that we've had to deal with, but I'm hoping to avoid that today.
Yeah, but he is also equally terrified of that AP3 Avenger Gatling.
Yeah, of course.
Because he is only a 3-up.
He is. It's madness.
A few times.
Has it?
Yes.
You also mentioned earlier before we got set up that bolters have done the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's normally like the last one or two Marines just, I'll potch like that.
The thing is, though, it's worth a gamble on a bolter. A wound is a wound, no matter where it comes from.
We got Fury of the Legion going on as well. It's really worth the punt.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen today.
Okay.
Is it not?
No. I've said it now. It's on the internet.
Talk to me a little bit about... We'll start with what it is first. I'm intrigued. Talk to me about the Xiphon.
So I adore the model.
Okay.
It was a gift from my friends after a short spell in hospital earlier in the year. Oh. So I wanted to bring it out.
Fighting fit now, though? Nice.
Oh, I couldn't be better, mate. I'm so good they made me twice. And I just love the fact that it normally comes in turn 4 and might kill something.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with him today. No pressure.
Bit of a gamble, because I don't think it's... I love the model.
Yeah.
I don't think it's reliable as a Lightning. That's the only criticism I've got. And it's not as perhaps as heavily gunned as a Lightning, but... Yeah. The Xiphon fits into the aesthetic of the Marine Army more so than a Lightning does, I think.
It looks cool as hell, yeah.
Okay. So I'm interested to see how that goes. You've both gone for jet bikes as well.
Yes.
Because they look amazing, obviously. Maybe not the most tactical choice in 3-man squads, but they just look too cool to not take, I think.
And you've gone with heavy bolters, but you've got multi-melters.
Yes.
I'm not sure which one I would want.
Possibly, we'll see.
But again, it depends on when they come in, when they want to come in.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to reserve them, you're going to hold them back, you think?
Yes.
Or
yes.
You will?
Yeah. So I keep a lot of my stuff at the back.
Charging straight in. They want the glory. They want the perfect kill.
I think they need to be on the board to make an impact. And you've got heavy bolters, again, it's weight of firepower, but it's wounds, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's getting them in the right place at the right time, I think.
Yeah. And you've also brought a detachment of knights, haven't you?
Indeed, yeah. I have brought a detachment of knights.
Tell me about it.
So it's an allied detachment, so they don't count as the Lord of War. So we've got the Seneschal equipped with the Gatling cannon and the claw, basically.
Thunderstrike Gauntlet.
That's the one, yeah. Got it right in the end.
I know what I'm doing.
And then the Armigers as well. They're probably not the most tactical choice in my experience, but they're so fast, so fun, hit hard when they want to, and I think they're cool choice for Emperor's Children. Quite a fluffy choice, actually. If you've read Master of Mankind, House of Iridian are manipulated into fighting for Emperor's Children as a Knight Legion, and that's why their seneschal is interred in Master of Mankind. So it's quite appropriate that they should be manipulating them in this instance to fight the World Eaters.
Okay. I love the fact as well you've gone for close combat weapons on all of them, because you are kind of leading a close combat army rather than just double.
That's where the glory's to be had, I think, close combat. No, and that's what's so interesting about these two armies. Obviously, they both want to get in, chop each other to bits, but in completely different ways.
Yeah. You're no good over there.
Yeah.
Now let's remind ourselves quickly of the mission we're playing today. We are playing Dominion, same one as yesterday. Actually, it's a really great mission. Dominion. It's a good leveler, particularly if you've got some. I think you've got some fairly powerful units on the board. We're playing 2,500 points, and we're playing the Search and Destroy deployment. So they're kind of table quarters with a 18-inch ring in the middle outside of. So it's going to be interesting. One thing we have forgotten. Tell me about Belper.
Well, we've got a small scene in Belper. A big shout out to Distinct Gaming. That's our local little game store. Yeah, I'm just representing Belper really. We had the choice of putting Derby or Belper on the head card there, and I've gone for Belper. I want to represent, to be honest. So anyone watching from Belper, big shout out.
But Chris, you've denied Belper.
I don't want anything to do with it. No, so I'm hailing from Derby Central. Shout outs to Boards and Swords Hobbies, Warhammer Derby, and the Naladian Bar and Grill, my gaming group. We're all about our heresy there. We've got a big growing scene, and I'm hoping to see more people get involved. And if anyone wants to play my guys in the Midlands, please get in touch.
Definitely.
Good. And the great thing about this game today and these two guys is they know each other. They game against each other a lot, so there's a real good friendship there, and they're fairly close to the channel. So it's some really great positives. So we might. If I feed and water them, I might be able to tempt them back, which I think would be great.
Definitely.
It should be great. We might do maybe you can join forces and take on the mech or something like that. I think that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I'd love to chop some robots up.
I'll take on a double Primarch. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sounds good to me.
I might retract that later. Let's dig into these lists, and then we will see you at the beginning of turn 1.
2,500 points of Emperor's Children with Questoris Knights allies led by Lord Commander Eidolon, taking the Warlord trait Coordinated Assault. Leading the Emperor's Children is Lord Commander Eidolon, equipped with his Thunderhammer and Archaeotech Pistol. He also has Death Scream, which Emperor's Children players will be familiar with, which is a template weapon which is rending and pinning. In addition to that, we've got the Legion Champion, who's equipped with a Paragon Blade and a Jump Pack. He'll be accompanied by his Palatine Blades, and Lord Commander will be accompanied by an Assault Squad. The first and only Elite's choice for the Emperor's Children with the Palatine Blades, led by Palatine Prefector armed with the Phoenix Spear. The remaining of them will be armed with Charnable Sabres. They've all got Artificer Armour, and they've all got Jump Packs. Troop choice number 1 will be Eidolon's Posse, consisting of an Assault Squad, 10-man. The Sergeant is equipped with Artificer Armour and armed with a Phoenix Spear. They all have Melter Bombs. Troops choices 2 and 3 will consist of 2 identical 15-man tack squads. Each will be led by a Sergeant equipped with Artificer Armour and armed with a Power Sword. And then we've got a Legion Vexilla in there as well. They've all got close combat weapons. The Sergeants are also equipped with Melter Bombs. Fast attack choice number 1 will be a squad of 3 Jetbike Sky Hunters with Scimitar jet bikes. They are equipped with Heavy Bolters and Melter Bombs. Fast attack choice number 2 will be a Javelin Attack Speeder armed with twin-linked Cyclone Missile Launcher, Multi-Melter and 2 Hunter-Killer Missiles. The first and only heavy support choice for the Emperor's Children will be a Vindicator Siege Tank armed with a Demolisher Cannon and equipped with Power of the Machine Spirit. The Emperor's Children have coerced into assisting them the Knights of House Viridian. They consist of a Seneschal armed in Knight Warden Knight Armour. Obviously we've got the Avenger Gatling Cannon and the Thunderstrike Gauntlet. And then that is accompanied by 2 Armiger Warglaves, each of which is armed with a Armiger Thermal Spear and a Melter Gun each, as well as close combat weapons.
2,500 points of World Eaters, led by the Primarch Angron alongside his friend the Praetor Tribune. Right of War being the Crimson Path, no Warlord trait given due to Angron being on the table. HQ for the World Eaters is a Praetor Tribune. He is equipped with Digital Lasers, Tartarus Terminator Armour, and he is equipped with a Paragon Blade. The first elite choice for the World Eaters is a 6-man Tartarus Terminator squad, all armed with a variety of weapons of Combi Bolters, Power Fists, Chain Fists, and the Sergeant is equipped with dual Lightning Claws, and their dedicated transport is a Spartan Assault Tank with Quad Las Cannon Arrays, Heavy Bolters, and it is equipped with Flare Shields and Armoured Ceramite. Elite choice number 2 is a Contemptor Dreadnought, equipped with 2 Chain Fists and a Melter Gun in each arm. Troop choices for the World Eaters, there are 3. The first one is a 10-man tactical squad, The sergeant is equipped with artificer armor and is armed with a chain axe and a plasma pistol. Each squad has a Legion Vexler. They are all armed with additional close combat weapons in the form of chain axes. The second troop choice is an identical squad of 10 Space Marines in a Deimos pattern Rhino. And the third troop choice is a 15-man tactical squad, again equipped with extra close combat weapons and a Vexler. Fast attack choice for the World Eaters is a Xiphon Interceptor equipped with flare launchers, and it is armed with 2 twinning las cannons and missile launchers. The only heavy support choice for the World Eaters is a Sky Slayer squad of scimitar jet bikes. They are all equipped with multi-melters and are armed with chain axes all. At the head of the charge of the World Eaters is their Primarch, Sire of the Red Sands, Angron himself. He is equipped, as he is, with Gorechild and Gorefather and Spite Furnace, his plasma pistol.
Chris, Sam, we're deployed and ready to go. I can't help but notice that you've deployed really close to each other, haven't you?
Yeah, close combat, that's the name of the game for both legions.
Angron's no good all the way back there.
This is true. I've noticed Angron's on foot. He's not in a Spartan.
Yep. The Spartan's reserved for the Terminators. It's not what he's there for. It's the party bus, but he's much rather be there to run up the board with his boys, his 15 ablative wounds, and to say hello to some knights.
That's mad. Sam, you've pushed the knights up front, right?
Indeed, we've got the manipulated, expendable troops up front, so the glorious Emperor's children can swoop in at the last minute and get their perfect victory.
Oh man, I mean, this is going to be thrilling. The forces have not deployed how I thought they might be deployed, so I'm excited to see it. Now, the World Eaters deploy first, go first, but Sam, you reckon you can seize?
I'd love a seize, thank you.
I think so.
All right, well, let's have a friendly handshake.
Good luck, mate.
Let's do this. Let's have a good time.
Bosh!
Oh dear, World Eaters turn 1. Turn 1 World Eaters movement saw the entire force progress up the board, the Contemptor steaming ahead of the infantry along with Angron. The Spartan and the Rhinos both deployed in separate directions to capture some objectives. Now we wait and see what's going to happen in the shooting phase. Turn 1 shooting for the World Eaters saw the Rhino move flat out towards this closest objective. The Spartan fired both its las cannon arrays at the Armiger Helverin on the right and managed to take off a hull point and leave it shaken. The Contemptor fired both its melter guns at the damaged Armiger Helverin, rolling 6 for its penetration rolls. It managed to explode it, nearly taking out Palatine Blade, but it's saved by the skinny of its teeth. Good work, Contemptor Dreadnought. Turn 1 shooting saw further progress for the World Eaters in the form of some bolter shots fired from this objective into a tactical squad, sadly bearing no fruit. Angron and his 15-man tactical squad bolted up the board for further progress towards the centre objective. Great first turn for the World Eaters, managed to pop a Helverin. I'm on objectives, and the next turn I think is where it's all going to show off, but now it's over to Sam for his turn 1.
Turn 1 movement for the Emperor's children is seeing a general swift advance, as is their fashion up the field, following a largely bloodless turn 1 shooting from the World Eaters. We've got a flank going along on this side, as well as occupation of this building up here to capture an objective by the assault squad and Eidolon's posse. In the pit, in the grisly kill box that is about to develop, we've got tactical marines, palatine blades, accompanied by the knights heading up. We've got the big boy knight there facing down, Angron and the Armiger about to go and cut up some World Eaters. Emperor's Children, turn 1 shooting. After a cheeky, devastating salvo from this 15-man tactical squad, we've managed to successfully kill 2 World Eaters tactical marines, one of which was the sergeant. Turn 1 shooting continued for the Emperor's Children. We've had the Armiger hit pretty hard this tactical squad. We've melted 2 into cinders, in addition to the bolter fire that came earlier on. We've also had the Vindicator fire at this squad accompanying Angron, which didn't do so well, only killed 1 with the blast, and then killed an additional 1 with the combi bolter on the roof. To gain a little bit more board control, the Palatine Blades have decided to run rather than shoot. They've utilised their Crusader rule, which enables them to roll 2 dice when running and pick the highest, which enables them to run 4 inches as opposed to just the 1. Up on this side of the board, the Tactical Squad have used the same rule, and they've advanced 6 inches, as well as the Javelin Attack Speeder and the Jet Bikes that have both moved flat out to lend them some support. Emperor's Children shooting continued. We've had a devastating salvo from the Knight just to show the World Eaters that we mean business. We've bracketed the Contemptor with the Stubber to get a charge off later, and there's also been a devastating salvo against Angron's boyfriend squad with the Gatling Cannon, which has killed 4 Marines. Emperor's Children, turn 1 assault phase, we've charged the Seneschal straight into that Contemptor to hopefully rip him a new one before he can do any damage. We're ineffective with the Hammer Wrath, so hopefully the Thunderstrike Gauntlet can do the business.
On receipt of the charge from the Knight, the Contemptor opened up at Initiative 4 with its dual chain fists, managed to knock 2 hull points off it. More would have been nice, but we'll take that, and now let's see what this Knight can do.
The Knight is hit back at strength 1, resulting in...
Initiative 1 with his Thunderstrike Gauntlet.
Ah, shit the bed.
Go on.
The Knight is hit back at Initiative 1.
Got Chris in the shot there.
The Knight is hit back at Initiative 1 with Thunderstrike Gauntlet, which was 4 attacks, resulting in 2 hits, and then rolling on the Destroyer table, resulting in 2 hull points lost, as well as a crew stunned result on the Contemptor. Also at Initiative 1, the Knight had his Stomp attacks, of which he got 2, one of which against the Contemptor almost took a hull point off, but saved it with a 6-up invuln. The second against Angron and his boyfriend squad was ineffective. Turn 1 summary for the Emperor's Children. All in all, I'm fairly happy with the position we're in. We've done a fair amount of damage, more than the World Eaters did to the Emperor's Children, so we'll just have to see how the rest of the game pans out.
Turn 2 movement for the World Eaters has seen them progress further up the board. The Rhino and the Terminators with Praetor Tribune are gunning towards the objective currently being eyed up by the Emperor's Children. The Contemptor is continuing to draw the Knight into combat, and Angron and his Tactical Marines are making a move for the remaining Armiger Helverin. The Xiphon Interceptor arrived from reserves and is eyeing up the Vindicator, which is a big concern for the World Eater infantry. The Scimitar Jet Bikes also arrived from reserves and are eyeing up the Armiger Helverin. And at the start of the turn, the World Eaters captured 1 objective held by the Tactical Marines in the bunker. Turn 2 shooting for the World Eaters has seen the Rhino fire off a cheeky combi bolter shot into the Tactical Squad for the Emperor's Children and has laid 1 low. The Terminators, along with their Praetor Tribune, have advanced up the board in a run move and have gone 2 inches closer towards their folly. The Spartan fired its quad las cannon arrays at 2 separate targets with Machine Spirit. 1 hit the Javelin, which performed a glancing hit, but did cause it to jink. The other las cannon array fired at the Palatine Blades on the far side of the board and managed to pop 1 open. The Sky Slayer Squadron arrived from reserves and eyed up their quarry in the form of the Armiger Helverin, fired 3 multi-melter shots, all of which hit, all of which penned. The Armiger failed all of its invulnerable saves and exploded in a massive shower of shrapnel and death. The Xiphon, swooping in from off of the battlefield, eyes the Vindicator, lets loose its las cannons and destroys the all-important and deadly combi bolter attached to it. It then fires its missiles, which proceed to do 0 damage. The Tactical Marines, along with their Rhino-dedicated transport, let loose a volley of bolt fire into the Emperor's Children Tactical Marines, failing to do a single point of damage, bar chipping some gold and purple armour. Turn to assault phase sees the Primarch Angron and the Tactical Marines try and bolt for the Palatine Blades, requiring a 10 to charge due to the difficult terrain modifier. They rolled a double 1, even with the reroll, letting them get an 8 is not enough for them to get to the Palatine Blades. Oh bother. The Contemptor opened up turn 2 combat phase into the Imperial Knight and managed to roll 2 hits, and only 1 of those hits conferred into 1 hull point lost with no negative modifiers to the Knight.
Against all odds, the Knight has done the business against the Contemptor by destroying him with 3 Destroyer hits. Because of the Thunderstrike Gauntlet, we get to then yeet the Knight in glorious fashion at the Tactical Marines of the World Eaters, in which we managed to kill 1.
At the end of turn 2, the World Eaters did gain some ground and managed to get further up the board as desired. All the reserves came in, which was beneficial. However, the Contemptor did get destroyed by the Imperial Knight, which is now sitting free as a bird in the middle of the board right next to my Primarch. Slight concern, but I'm not overly worried. As long as I've got bodies on the board and chain axes revving, I'll take that and run with it.
Emperor's Children, turn 2 movement. Now that it's getting serious, we've actually lost Marines, so we've got to move into a position where the Emperor's Children can actually do something tactically significant. So first of all, the Palatine Blades are going to try and destroy this squad of bikes on the left here, which will hopefully make it more safe for the tactical squad to then advance onto the objective currently held by the World Eaters tactical squad in the distance. The Vindicator is not moved, his remained stationary to line up a shot against Angron and his boyfriend squad. There's an assault squad still in these ruins, which have captured the objective for 1 point this turn, which has Eidolon accompanying it, still waiting to strike. The tactical squad on the flank here has managed to secure this objective in time for next turn, but hasn't scored this turn from it. The fast movers, ironically, haven't moved very fast at all. They've stayed stationary with the intention of doing some damage down here. And finally, the Knight is lining up a shot at the Terminators, and then I think he's going to finally charge the Spartan and destroy that, which will hopefully make his points back. Beginning of Emperor's Children, turn 2 shooting. First things first, we've dropped a pie plate on Angron and his boyfriend squad, managing to kill 5 Marines. The shooting from the Emperor's Children tactical squad saw 20 bolt gunshots being fired at the World Eaters tactical squad in the ruins here, managing to kill 3 Marines. In a rare streak of fate, the Palatine Blades have tried to hit the bikes with their bolt pistols, managing to actually kill one. In the bid to blunt the assault from the Terminators, the Emperor's Children have had to go all out on this side of the flank. We've had 19 bolter shots, of which 8 hit and 4 wounded. The Javelin, having jinked, did absolutely nothing. And the jet bikes had a further 9 shots, 6 of which hit and 4 wounded. And now Chris is going to do his best to make the saves.
Giving me a total of 8 2+ armor saves. Let's do this. Oh, my boys. Oh, my boys. Oh, Lord, they're coming.
The Knight, manipulated by the Emperor's Children, is really coming into its own now, managing to make up for the poor shooting from the tactical Marines. It's managed to hit this Tartaros Terminator squad hard with its Avenger Gatling cannon, killing 2 and forcing a failed leadership role. The cowardly World Eaters, having failed their leadership, have withdrawn 4 inches from the battlefield, all but leaving this flank to the Emperor's Children. Turn 2, Emperor's Children assault phase. We've had the Palatine Blades charging into the jet bikes of the World Eaters. One has been killed to Hammer of Wrath after Overwatch was absolutely ineffective. On the far flank, now that the Terminators have drawn back in retreat, the assault squad mounted on the objective tried to do a cheeky 12-inch charge but failed their charge range. And then finally, the Knight has charged the Spartan, hopefully with the aim of throwing that at the Terminators. In an exemplary display of perfect swordsmanship, the Emperor's Children have slain the jet bike squad and consolidated 5 inches, now bearing down on the World Eaters tactical squad holding the objective. The Knight has done exactly what it was paid to do by attacking the Spartan. It managed to hit 3 of its attacks, 2 of which produced damage, so it was able to roll twice on the vehicle damage table, managing to explode the Spartan. That was able to then be thrown at the Terminators, sadly producing no additional wounds. Emperor's Children turn 2 summary. All in all, a good turn. We're making some good progress all over the board. I'm a little bit dubious about where the Knight has ended up following his attack on the Spartan, but I think all in all, it's done its points at this point in the game, so I'm not really bothered what happens to it. We've mostly secured this flank, only a couple of World Eaters to sweep up, assuming these Terminators rally. We've still got 2 objectives at this point in the game. Fairly happy with how things are going on the other flank, now that the bikes are dead and the Palatine Blades are mostly going to sweep up that tactical squad next turn, hopefully.
Turn 3 beginning for the World Eaters. It looks like a hard fight is on their hands. The Tat Squad has gone out of the Rhino in a bid to try and stem the Emperor's Children securing that objective. The Terminators and their Praetor thankfully rallied and are taking cover behind the abandoned Spartan to protect them from that horrible night. Angron and the Tat Squad are making their way towards the far field to try and stem some of the purple and gold over there. And the Tactical Marines are doing their best to hold their objective, which they do not secure this turn, to try and prevent the Palatine Blades from securing it against them. The Xiphon move towards the board to hopefully finish off the Vindicator. Turn 3 shooting for the World Eaters saw the Terminators freshly rallied unload their combi bolters into the Tactical Marines, doing not a lot of damage. The Tactical Marines fared much better and finished one with a plasma pistol and took another 2 out with their sheer amount of bolter fire. The Rhino's combi bolters bounced off and did nothing. The Xiphon fired its twin glass cannons at the Vindicator, finally taking it out of action and reducing it to a smoking heaped wreck, thank goodness. The Marines, facing down the Palatine Blades, fired their bolt pistols and fruitlessly did nothing. Looks like it's the charge for them. Turn 3 charge phase for the Eaters of Worlds sees the TAC Marines take the fight to the Palatine Blades. It could be fruitless, it could be hilarious. Let's see what happens. Angron and his remaining 3 Marines charge the large tactical squad in what I can only hope will be an utter bloodbath of carnage and viscera. Angron charged into combat into the tactical Marines. Overwatch was fruitless, and the Hammer of Wrath sadly did not kill any Emperor's Children. A challenge was issued to the sergeant of the tactical squad, And in typical Primarch of the World Eater fashion, he eviscerates 8 Marines with Gorechild and Gorefather before they even understand what's going on. The Marines supporting their Primarch pile in at Initiative 4 against the Emperor's Children Tactical Marines. Thanks to their rage and their chain axes, they get 4 attacks each. Majority of them hit through and wounded on 3s with the rerolls of 1. 7 went through to wound, and 2 Emperor's Children Tactical Marines died to the chain axes.
In retaliation, the Emperor's Children have valiantly managed to cut down one of the World Eater Space Marines. Sadly, though, we failed our leadership and are now falling back and routed and all but cut to pieces by the Primarch Angron.
A very successful combat for the Primarch of the World Eaters. Angron cut down the Tactical Marines with his Marine support. He's then consolidated towards the Palatine Blades, thirsting for further blood in the purple regalry of the Emperor's Children.
The next combat between the Palatine Blades and the Tactical Marines has seen the World Eaters not have anyone courageous or skillful enough to accept a challenge, so the champion has managed to cut down 1 Marine at Initiative Step 5, the rest of the combat to follow.
Next up, Initiative 4 sees the Tactical Marines fight the Emperor's Children with their chain axes after getting a charge off, despite having 4 attacks each and landing a fair few wounds with the rerolls of 1 for Incarnate Violence. No damage is sustained by the Palatine Blades, and it's now their time to fight back.
The Palatine Blades, obviously exhausted from chopping up jet bikes, not nearly as effective, only killing 1 of the Tactical Marines. I think it might be game over for them when your boy Angron gets involved in 5 minutes' time. The World Eaters have lost combat, but due to Angron's inspiring presence, they're able to not run away.
End of World Eaters Turn 3 has seen significant gains made across this side of the board, with Angron and his Marines chopping up Emperor's Children left, right and centre. That's just as it needs to be. The far side of the board is weighted in purple and gold, but now that the Terminators are rallied and 10 Tactical Marines have arrived out of their transport, hopefully chain axes will start revving and the World Eaters will make more gains on that side of the board.
Turn 3 movement for the Emperor's Children. The Palatine Blades over on this flank haven't done a great deal. They're just bracing themselves for the onslaught that's about to fall upon them. There's very little happening in the middle of the board, but on the flank on the far side, there's a much more interesting firefight melee about to unfold. The Knights getting involved. It's going to be a shooting gallery. I think we're going to see a Fury of the Legion, and then we're going to see what happens in melee. Turn 3, Emperor's Children shooting. We've seen the coolest rule in the game arguably utilised, which is Fury of the Legion, which saw 38 shots coming the way of this tactical squad, and the results really speak for themselves. 7 dead Marines. The bikes, feeling merciful for the devastated tac squad, have decided to direct the full weight of their 9 heavy bolter shots at the Terminators, one of which was killed in the process. Continuing the onslaught of fire by the fast attack section, the Javelin attack speeder has managed to take out 1 Terminator with its twin-link Cyclone missile launcher. The multi-melter also fired, but to no effect. The Knight, in its true devastating fashion, has decided to open up with a full barrage of its ordnance on the Terminators, firing first with the Flamer to no effect, then with the Heavy Stubber to no effect, but we're all ready for the main event, which was the Gatling Cannon, which managed to kill all but the Praetor Tribune and wounding him twice, so now he's easy prey for the remaining forces. Turn 3 assault phase for the Emperor's Children, maybe in a tactical error, but definitely one which is worth it. We've had Eidolon's boyfriend squad charge down from the objective into the Praetor Tribune. Eidolon has issued a challenge which the Praetor Tribune is, probably to his detriment, forced to accept. The Emperor's Children, like a viper, have struck from their position, and Eidolon is, with his Thunderhammer initiative, obliterated the Praetor Tribune and then consolidated back towards their objective. Combat on the opposite side of the board with the Palatine Blades and the Tactical Squad. The champion has struck at Initiative 5, killing 1 Marine, leaving the rest of his boyfriend squad to wipe up the rest of them. Initiative 4, the World Eater struck, managing to make a couple of hits, but no damage against the glorious Artificer armour of the Emperor's Children. The Palatine Blade squad then hit back, killing 2, but failing to wipe the last man up, meaning that we're now being bared down on by Angron. I think it's all but game over for these chaps. Turn 3 roundup for the Emperor's Children went basically as I anticipated, to be honest. We've got this flank more or less locked down. I think we're in a position now where we can start moving onto objectives on a more permanent basis. I'm a little bit worried about Angron and the Xiphon still flying around over there. At this point, the Palatine Blades are a write-off, but all in all, pretty good, I think.
World Eater turn 4. No objectives were secured at the start of the turn, as the objectives that the World Eaters were on are contested. End of the movement phase has seen Angron with his Marines move closer to those pesky Palatine Blades. They shouldn't be there soon. And the Marines and Rhino on this side of the board are hastily going to secure an objective, and they might try a cheeky charge. I'm sure it won't be fruitless at all. The Tactical Marines and Rhino launched their bolt weapons into the tactical squad belonging to the Emperor's Children, but they bounced off and did 0 damage. World Eater turn 4 charge. Angron charged the Palatine Blades and Champion, hoping to finish them off in combat. Hammer of Wrath doing 0 damage. And the 3 Marines charging the Emperor's Children tactical squad fought past the Overwatch, sustaining no damage, and are going to try and whittle the numbers down of the superior numbered Legion. Turn 4, World Eater's combat phase. Angron does what he does best, charges into pesky, weedy little Palatine Blades, knocks the Champion's head off, wipes the rest of the unit, and consolidates towards the Imperial Knight, which is going to be his next viable target, which he's hoping to decapitate. Initiative 4, combat between the World Eater Tactical Marines and the Emperor's Children Tactical Marines, sees a weight of chain axe revving, thrown into the squad, taking out 1 Emperor's Children Marine.
Striking back at Initiative 4, the Emperor's Children Tactical Squad failed to generate any wounds with their close combat weapons, but the Sergeant has waded in all his glory and managed to take 1 World Eater out with his power sword, resulting in a drawn combat.
End of World Eater turn 4. It's an uphill battle, but Angron swiping the Palatine Blades is a minor victory for the World Eaters. That objective over there is being contested just slightly by the 2 remaining World Eaters, but I have a feeling that will change in the next turn. Let's see what the Emperor's Children can do.
Turn 4, Emperor's Children movement. While sacrificing the advantage in terms of position in last turn to do some damage, we've now gone back into a position where we can score some points for the objective. So Eidolon has moved back up to the objective with his assault squad. The Knight has moved into the centre position to both secure the objective and to attack Angron. And our fast movers have made moves basically to finish off the World Eaters and also maybe move into some more objectives later game. Emperor's Children, turn 4 shooting. We opened up with the heavy bolters into the back armour of this Rhino, hoping to destroy it. Unfortunately, we only generated 1 penetrating hit, which shook it. We're going to finish that off with melter bombs in a minute. The Knight had a cheeky pop shot at Angron. We had 12 strength 6 shots going towards his way with AP3, which of course penetrates his armour. That managed to generate 2 wounds. Turn 4, Emperor's Children assault phase. The bikes have charged the Rhino with the hope of destroying that with melter bombs, as I mentioned earlier. And finally, the Javelin has moved flat out to put in a more advantageous position next turn. 3 melter bombs was all it took to destroy the World Eater's Rhino, which was extremely successful, as you can see from the vacant space in the middle of the board. The result of combat between the 2 tactical squads was 1 Marine lost aside, resulting in a drawn combat. Therefore, I won't be able to consolidate onto the objective.
The Emperor's Children will not be able to consolidate. I'm
sorry. No, please do. Yeah, no. Combat between the 2 tactical squads has resulted in a drawn combat, having lost 1 Marine each, meaning the Emperor's Children won't be able to consolidate onto the objective. Turn 4 review for the Emperor's Children. Without wanting to sound arrogant, I think we're in a pretty good position at the moment. We've mostly swept up, especially where we intended to. I think this is looking strong for the rest of the game.
Turn 5 for the World Eaters, potentially the last turn of the game. All to play for now. The Primarch Angron is gunning towards the Imperial Knight with his 2 Marine friends, hoping to get to the tasty Seneschal inside there. A Marine held an objective at the start of the turn, which secures a point for the World Eaters. The Zyphon arrived from reserves and is gunning straight for the Imperial Knight just in case anything goes wrong there. And the Far Marine holding off those other Emperor Children Tactical Marines is got it all to play for now. Turn 5 shooting for the World Eaters. The Zyphon screams in from off the board to hopefully take the last few hull points off the Imperial Knight. It manages to secure one of those hull points with its las cannons, while the missiles bounce off and do nothing. It's all down to the Primarch to get rid of that monstrous Knight. Angron fires Spite Furnace, his plasma pistol at the Imperial Knight. It lands successfully but fails to get through the armour, leaving the Primarch enraged, ready for combat. Turn 5, World Eater charge. Off Angron goes towards the Imperial Knight, it being unable to overwatch with it being super heavy. He makes his charge and barrels straight into the Knight. He can't hurt it with his Hammer of Wrath, but that's not what he's worried about. It's time for Gorefather and Gorechild to turn it into filings. Angron scaled the Knight with Gorefather and Gorechild, landing 8 of his 10 attacks, causing 4 penetrating hits on the Knight, losing its last hull point. It then exploded in a catastrophic fashion, fell back and ruined the land speeder, which had 1 hull point remaining. Great victory for the Primarch. The combat between the 2 squads of tactical marines sees the World Eater finally fall to the weight of attacks to the Emperor's Children, crucially enabling them to roll a 4 in their consolidation and secure that objective ready for the Emperor's Children next turn. Turn 5 for the World Eaters is done. The Imperial Knight's finally slain, which is fantastic. The land speeder was destroyed in the explosion. However, objective-wise, it's looking a bit sparse, and now it's over to the Emperor's Children to rally in what they need to do to secure the victory.
Emperor's Children, turn 5 movement. Critically at the beginning of this turn, we scored 2 victory points, which could very well be the difference between victory and defeat. They've not got a great deal to move at this point, but we have put the jet bikes in a position where they can hopefully get a cheeky pot shot on the World Eater, which is holding the objective on the far side of the board. Turn 5 shooting for the Emperor's Children. Not a great deal happened. We had 3 heavy bolt shots at this Marine here, being ineffective. Now we get to do the dubious honour of rolling to see if there's a turn 6. So without further ado, that will be a turn 6 on the cards.
World Eater 6th and final turn. Movement is resolved. The Marine is sticking on that objective to secure me a crucial point. The Rhino has moved up just to try and give him that little bit of cover. The centre objective in the bunker was held by the Tactical Marines, thankfully, which scores me another crucial victory point. Everything else has moved up the board that needs to. Angron's gunning for the bikes. The Xiphon is going to take some cheeky shots at the bikes as well. All to play for attrition now. That could be the deciding factor of who wins this game. World Eater's turn 6 shooting phase. The Xiphon streams across the battlefield and manages to take care of one of the bikes with its missiles. The last cannons prove ineffective against the Jinx save of the bikes. Turn 6, World Eater charge phase. Angron barrels into the bikes, sustaining the overwatch that fails to wound him. It's now time to rip some bikes up. Turn 6, assault phase for the World Eaters complete. Angron eviscerated the bikes with ease. They've consolidated towards the Palatine Blades, the assault squad, with Eidolon. They now have to weather the storm and do what they can to survive for the next and final turn.
Turn 6, final turn for the Emperor's Children. 2 objectives secured by Eidolon and his assault squad, as well as the tactical squad down in the mud there. Not a great deal happened. We had a furious Fury of the Legion from the tactical squad, which managed to kill 1 Marine from Angron's boyfriend squad. But I think that about does it for virtually the entire game.
Here we are, Emperor's Children, World Eaters. One of these factions want the blood, and one wants the glory. I guess we should dig into the victory points. We'll find out who has what. But before we do that quickly, gents, that was a thrilling game.
Exceptional game. It's always good against Emperor's Children versus World Eaters. Always a good game.
It's always an odd matchup, you know, 2 traitor legions against each other. And we discussed this yesterday when we had another traitor matchup. You very rarely see the traitors come together, but they are fun to fight against.
When both want to get into melee combat, it's always a fun system.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's do the victory points, but let's remind ourselves very quickly about where we are. The World Eaters have done an admirable job of securing objectives at the beginning. Towards the latter part of the game, scoring themselves 4 points. Although you do get attrition because you killed 8 Emperor's Children units, whereas Sam only killed 6.
I'm afraid, yeah.
Spicy.
Spicy.
So you're on 4 at the moment. We'll do the D3 roll in a second. But the Emperor's Children have done an amazing job securing tons of objectives, which puts the Emperor's Children on 6. There's a 2-point difference, and you both get a D3. Now, the World Eaters can only hope for a draw.
Yeah.
But you need to roll a 5 or a 6, and you need to make a 1 or a 2 to make the dream happen.
For Chris.
Yeah.
So let's put the pressure on Chris. So let's have a roll, Sam.
Good to me.
You could win it on this dice roll.
Okay, we need a 3 up to win.
Yeah, 3 up to win.
It's a 4.
Oh, he's done it already. But what have you got, Chris?
Oh, I don't know. If it was down to the wire, though, it'd have been tough.
God damn. All right, so final scores. World Eaters scored 6 points, and the Emperor's Children scored 8, if I'm right.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yes, excellent news. So it seems that the Emperor's Children have done enough to blunt the World Eaters' advance on Terra.
Just clinched it, yeah, absolutely. I think that'll do the job to really show the superiority of the Emperor's Children in front of the War Master when they get there.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
That's terrible. We're going to talk about your knight. You brought your knight back and your champion.
And the champion as well, yeah.
Go
so I feel like both of these units did a really good job in their own way. I've brought the knight back because in previous games that I've played it, it's not done the best. It's not done very well. It's certainly not done what I expected of it. And in this game, it did everything and more. It was exceptional. I'm sure Chris will agree, having seen the knight.
It was a world-eating, blatting, vehicle-throwing machine.
Especially in contrast to its usual performance. And similarly, the champion, they can be a little bit hit or miss. But especially when you're running Emperor's Children, you need a lot of close combat units. And I feel the champion really exemplifies the Emperor's Children. He did a good job today of cutting down the bikes in particular, and then leading the Palatine Blades onto that push down the far side of the board.
Yeah, that night came ever so close to toppling, didn't it?
Oh, the night was...
Well, it did in the end.
hot
but,
water, for a lot of the game, I thought.
But he died a lot later in the game than I thought perhaps he was going to. But there we go. Chris, talk to me about the top man.
He's just a bit of a lad, isn't he? Always does what I need him to do. There were a couple of moments where Fury of the Legion was involved where I was sweating marginally fully. But thankfully, he did what I needed him to do. He eventually got to the night. I would have liked it sooner, but you do the best of what you're given. And he went around sweeping Marines and doing what he needs to do and dealing with horrible Emperor's Children in my back line.
I think he moved the most out of all the models on the board, didn't he?
Oh, he was a speedy boy.
Couldn't catch him.
Couldn't move faster than my jet bikes.
I was going to say.
Sadly, his and the army's manoeuvrability wasn't enough to keep up with Sam, and I think he played the crucial part of his army where manoeuvrability is key.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, Chris.
I was about to add, you did a great job by moving out on the right-hand side of the board. Your objective securing was good. A little bit disappointed with Eidolon. He didn't get too much action, but
the trouble is, in previous games, I've had really tough experiences. I think in 2 out of the 4 games we've played, Eidolon has been just destroyed by a las cannon.
Really?
Something insane.
One moment of bad placement. Like las cannon.
He's no stranger to getting instant death by some high strength shooting. So I really had to keep him back, especially with Angron roaming the field. He would have died instantly.
Yeah. This is true. I did expect Eidolon is squad to charge Angron on the last 6th and final turn for the Emperor's Children. I think you did as well, didn't you?
I would have loved nothing more.
That
Warlord would have made all the
definitely
difference.
tempted to. You see, I was role playing it actually, because you see, Eidolon, he's very much one for staying back and letting everyone else do the tough work, and then reporting back and saying, "Oh yeah, it was me that took the glory." Actually, so I think I played that pretty fluffily.
Very much so. He'd have died in that game too.
I think you would have done it. You would have got Warlord as well. I might have pushed you over.
I would have done it. Yeah, but no, he played smart and fair play to him.
Yeah, make no mistake. Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah. And that is a really good point. The channel is always about producing fantastic games, but at the same time, if Sam had thrown Eidolon in, he would have died at initiative to Angron. That would have happened.
Yeah.
And there would have been 1,000 people shouting at the screen, "No! Sam, why did you charge Eidolon?" So
I don't want to let the Emperor's Children players down.
Exactly right. So, there is a really fine balance in how we do these games. And, your decisions you made were your own. They weren't coerced. But you do have to play smart in Heresy to get the best out of the game.
That's what makes it such a good system.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, I thought they put up a spectacular game, and it was really thrilling to watch. Hopefully you had a good day.
Exceptional.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yourselves.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, dude.
Excellent. Now, if you would like to follow these guys' progress in the future about products they've got coming up or bits and bobs, Sam, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram as the Maru Scara, so if you want to see mediocrely painted Emperor's Children, that's the place to go.
And Chris, tell me.
I am the _unrelenting score brush on Instagram, and I'm the unrelenting brush commission painter on Facebook. Have a look if you want hobby blogs. I do tutorials, and if you're interested in using my services to have anything painted, please get in touch. I'd love to help.
Great stuff. Good stuff. And don't forget, there are a ton of photos from this game on the Facebook page when the game is released. So go to Facebook. We'd love to talk to you, interact with you, see what you thought of the game. Any passing comments for Emperor's Children or World Eaters players, please let's have a chat. All that remains to say is, gents, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
I think you've done Belper proud.
I hope so, yeah. Fingers crossed.
Darby, not so much, maybe.
Next time I'll get you.
All right, guys. We will see you in the next game.
Take care. Bye-bye.